G'day guys, I'm super excited for today's video because we're doing something different than we've never done before, and that is going back and looking at 3 properties that we bought at different stages over the last 8 years and looking at why we bought them and how they've performed over that period of time. Now, the first property we bought was 19 kilometers from the city in a suburb called Bray Park. Back in 2018, or the good old days I call them, in that part of the city, we picked up that property for just over $406,000. Having taken a look today at some of the comparable properties, this property would be valued at over $800,000 right now. At the time, the client who we were working with on this property, he had already bought 3 houses and built 3 granny flats on those properties in Sydney, but he didn't have a local market knowledge of Brisbane. So he engaged us to help him find a home, and then we helped him do a small cosmetic renovation and build a granny flat or a secondary dwelling out the back. Now, what's crazy about Dave's story is he'd never earned massive money. In fact, he'd never earned more than $120,000 per year from his job. But because he'd chipped away on these 3 houses and 3 granny flats in Sydney over a 25-year period, he was sitting on millions of dollars of equity and almost $150,000 per year of passive income. He wanted $200,000 a year of passive income in retirement, which was why in 2018, we helped him buy the home in Brisbane and build the granny flat. Now, the reason we selected this suburb of Bray Park back then was because it was 19 k's from the city. They were building a brand new university at that time and opening it in the years after that in the neighbouring suburb. And statistically speaking, that area had done less than 6% per annum over the 10 years leading up to that point, which said to me that it was statistically undervalued when you look at the longer term history of Brisbane. Now, the second property we bought was in an absolute cracking suburb called Kedron. I really messed up this one myself. I should have bought a property back in 2018 like this one, but we picked this one up for $840,000 for some clients named Nat and Charles. Now, having a look online, that property would be worth at least $1.6 million right now. Now, what I loved about Kedron at that stage back in 2018 is it was surrounded by incredibly high quality suburbs. It had some great properties with great views on the hill of the CBD, and it was within sort of 7 to 8 kilometers of the city. I could see from driving through those streets at that time that there were many properties being knocked down and rebuilt and heaps of properties being renovated. So I could see some crazy gentrification occurring at that time. Now, what's even crazier now is suburbs even further away from the city, where beautiful brand new properties have been knocked down, have been sold for as much as $3 million in the last 12 months, meaning that the upside for Nat and Charles longer term could be significantly more than the $1.6 million home they own today. When they came to us, they were looking for sort of a set and forget, tenant-ready, low-maintenance property close to the city that they could hold at least until the Brisbane Olympic Games and make some great capital gains, but also get some incredible rent return, with this property doing more than $1,000 per week today. Now, the third property and the final property I wanted to look at today is honestly one of the suburbs closest to my heart. When I moved the business from Sydney into Brisbane, this was one of my 2 favourite suburbs, still is, still absolutely regret not buying property in that area for myself. This suburb's Acacia Ridge. Now, we picked up this property back in 2015 for $337,000. Now, this suburb's about 12 to 14 kilometres from the city, and this house today would be worth well over $700K. Now, what was interesting about Acacia Ridge back in 2015 was at that point, you could buy properties for under $400K, but the neighbouring suburbs of Sunnybank and Sunnybank Hills, which were literally 1 road away, were selling for almost $1 million all the way back in 2015. And I knew that would just be a matter of time before that domino rolled over into Acacia Ridge and properties started to increase in value. Now, Acacia Ridge, when I was driving through it back then, felt like deep West Melbourne, deep West Sydney back in the day, or sort of in the sticks in any of Australia's other capital cities. But I knew that the distance to the CBD was close enough, the incomes were strong enough, and the suburb was gentrifying fast enough that it wouldn't look like that for long, and it would improve in value and quality of the people living there extremely quickly. Now, back in 2015, there were a lot of housing commission homes owned by the state government, but we were actually able to pick up between 1 and 3 a month of those properties at that time directly from the state government for our clients, which I knew that their intention was to sell as many of those out as possible to decentralize the housing commission and to improve the brand of the area. Now, what was fun about this for me, having bought more than $450 million worth of property up here in Southeast Queensland now, is that when I looked back, almost every single property that we had bought between 5 and 8 years ago had gone up by between $200,000 and $500,000. And when looking back at the properties that we bought sort of 3 to 5 years ago, our average property that we bought had gone up by between $100,000 and $400,000. So it's incredible to have helped so many people move a step closer to their longer term goals of financial freedom and choices in their life. Now, for those of you who are seriously thinking about buying in the next 12 months and want to get some great long-term growth, want to pick the eyes out of the market, buy the most undervalued suburbs up here in Southeast Queensland and get support on the journey, I'd love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session where we can talk about where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term, and we can educate you on the market up here based on our analysis this year of looking at more than 400 suburbs. And then you can take that and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the extremely small number of clients we work with each month. But to book that call, just jump over to www.pumpedonproperty.com, click that free strategy session. And either way, I wish you all the best moving forward and success on your journey to financial freedom.
Woo! That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Have a
Cool,
spin.
bro. Yeah.
Oh, sweaty. So sweaty. Oh, that's good. Look at that.
So nice, eh?
Oh.